All right, I want to welcome everybody to the March 6, 2019 Revere Conservation Commission. I'd like to stand and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call of members. Member Heather Legere.
Here.
Member Ann Raponi.
Present.
Member Joe Laval.
Here.
Member David Etoff.
Here.
Member Deborah Santiano McHatton.
Present.
And Robert Cassidy.
Present.
And I'm Chairman Nick Malayson. Can I have approval of the minutes for February 6th, 2019? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Joe Laval, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by David. All right, first is a public hearing for, well, the first item on the agenda is postponed again until next month. Mario's Auto Body, 22 Naples Road. I'm giving him one more postponement, but it's probably, chances are he's gonna have to resubmit everything because he's got to get some permission from the, site plan review. So we're gonna go right to public hearing, Mass DEP file, which I don't think there was a number yet, but I'll look tomorrow, for the Northern Strand Community Trail improvements to approximately 1 mile stretch of trail along the Revere-Malden line. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make
So
a motion.
Ian made the motion.
I'll second it.
Toby seconds it. All right, can I have whoever wants to come up, name and address for the record, please?
Thank you, Frank Stringy, City Planner. I'm here on behalf of the City of Revere as a project sponsor. As you may not know, the Northern Strand Rail Trail starts at the Mystic River in Everett, and when it's finished, will run about 10 miles to Western Avenue in Lynn. The Revere portion is just a little bit over 1 mile. Back in 2012, the city entered an agreement with MBTA for alternative use of the railroad bed for a bike path and trail. And since then, the rails have been removed, as well as the railroad ties. The surface of the railroad bed has been graded and gravel has been laid down, so it's ready now for pavement. We're very fortunate to have the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs step to the plate and provide funding for the design and full construction of the rail trail through Revere and all the way through Lynn. Also included in the trail will be amenities such as benches and place markers and holdings for historical significant sites within the Rumney Marsh. It'll be about 10 feet wide with a 2-foot bed on both sides, maintaining natural vegetation on both sides for runoff. That's basically the scope of the project. There will be pedestrian and bicycle improvement crossings at Salem Street and Lynn Street as part of the project. But now, as far as when it'll start and the details of the project, I'm going to turn it over to Elise D'Onofrio from Santec, who works for, they are involved in the permitting, design, and engineering of the trail, and they'll take it from here.
Thank you, Frank.
We have Andrea Kendall from LEC come up as well. She did our wetland delineation.
So we get Andrea Kendall.
Yes.
And what was your name again? I'm
Elise
sorry.
D'Onofrio.
And you guys are from where?
I am from Stantec, and Andrea's from LEC Environmental Consultants.
Okay. All right. Go right ahead.
Do you want to explain?
Just to start off, the DEP file number was issued, so I want to give a copy to the commission. And then as well, just a certificate of mail is the document of our notification.
Thank you.
Do you have a preference if I stand in front of the microphone or go to the plans?
Well, if you need to talk about anything on the plans, you can bring the microphone with you, so whichever you prefer.
Okay. Thanks for the introduction, Frank. I think he gave a great overview. I'm guessing that some of you are already familiar with this trail or segment of it. maybe have walked along this lovely area, along the marsh. But as indicated, this is a multi-purpose trail that connects the communities of Everett, Malden, Revere, Saugus, and Lynn, and with eventual terminus at the Lynn shoreline there in the beach at Nahant. So it's a lovely amenity for the community. Notice of intents have also been filed with the Saugus Conservation Commission and the Lynn Conservation Commission. And as part of this project, I believe there are some additional improvements planned in Everett and Malden, if I'm correct.
Correct.
An ENF has been filed with MIPA, the Massachusetts Planning Agency, and so that review is underway at this.
Started today,
It
actually.
started today, so the commission will be involved in whatever capacity that you wish to be involved in. As noted, the existing trail in Revere is about a 1 mile segment from the Malden town line just east of Lynn or north of Lynn Street to the Saugus town line near Laurel Street. It extends below Route 1. It goes through open space areas like the Rumney Marsh. It goes through residential areas, a little bit of commercial, and then other recreational areas associated with the, see if I recall correctly, there is a pond, like a pond and other trail system just north of there. The Rumney Marsh, an area of critical environmental concern, is located adjacent to the trail, and certain segments of the trail are actually included in that ACEC designation. There are ORWs, outstanding wetland resource area, outstanding resource waters associated with this ACEC, but they're specifically located within the marsh proper, and no portion of the trail is located within these ORWs. There are wetlands intermittently located adjacent to the trail. They include the Pines River, an associated marsh system. They include bordering vegetated wetlands to the north near Laurel Street, a little bit near Salem Street. I can show you on the plan. I think it might be a little bit hard to read from where everybody's vantage point, but I'm happy to go through it piece by piece with you. There is riverfront area associated with Pines River. There's coastal bank associated with the marsh system, and this coastal bank is just sort of a vegetated buffer from any kind of coastal storm situations. And in this case, it's characterized as just vegetated areas that meet like the very specific criteria for slopes. I always have a coastal person do this for me. I don't understand it all entirely, but that's what he says is coastal bank. There's land subject to coastal storm flowage, which is the coastal equivalent to, so to speak, of the 100-year floodplain. So some of that occurs on the project site. So that is, and then there are no mapped habitat for any rare species or whatnot designated by Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. So that's like the big overview of the environmental resources associated with the site. And now the trail proper, photos are included in the notice of intent application if you have it in front of you, but it just demonstrates the existing developed nature of the trail. As Frank indicated, it's an 8 to 10 foot wide gravel level surface, vegetated shoulders along each side, and then it transitions into scrubby vegetated areas, and then beyond that trail, it's either wooded or transitions into the marsh area. There are some paved surfaces that exist already at Salem Street, and then, as noted, all the railroad infrastructure, or most, or if not all of it, has been removed from the alignment. So it's ready to go, ready to be improved. There are some utilities, below ground utilities that transect the trail in many different ways, parallel across sewer, gas, and MWRA water line. And then above ground, there's an electric distribution line with utility poles and overhead wire. So there's a lot going on that the team had to ensure that they're maintaining that infrastructure while planning for their improvements. The proposed project now, I'll get into some of the details of that. It's going to be a 10-foot wide paved path to accommodate the planned use. Be ADA compliant with vegetated shoulders. There'll be very limited grading beyond that, just to tie into the existing shoulders. So the seed mix that will be used will be salt tolerant, so it'd be good for the coastal setting. There are going to be spur trails to access Blodgett Street and Fenwick Street, and those trails will be like a 5-foot wide paved surface. And then there's going to be a bocce court and other landscape area amenity by the salt marsh. So hopefully that'll be a nice interactive opportunity for the community to enjoy the salt marsh and each other and whatnot. So on the north side of the trail, that's where the access, and there's already an existing access to the Rose Pond open space area that I forgot the name of before. But this time it'll be a formalized 10-foot wide paved access to that area. At Salem Street, there's going to be a plaza, more of a focal point for the community. It's right adjacent to Harmon Park. There's going to be seating, like a patio paver kind of setting, trail signage, landscape plantings, bike loops for people to park their bike, go to the adjacent park or walk or however. To accommodate these landscape amenities, there will be a little bit of select vegetation removal, maybe some tree cutting, small caliber trees to accommodate that. And then once we get to Salem Street, there'll be a formalized trail crossing that with safety features and et cetera to create a nice segue to get across the trail while alerting all the oncoming traffic and such. Erosion controls will be implemented during construction. So in terms of where work is occurring, in buffer zone, in riverfront area, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and then the coastal bank. A little bit will be temporarily impacted, but then it'll be restored. There's also a little impact to BVW, to the wetland to the freshwater wetland that we're anticipating, because some of these wetlands in particular are more swale-like features, probably created at some point to accommodate drainage, but it's developed into a wetland, so it's closer to the trail. So erosion controls are going to be placed, but there is not much room between the limit of work and that wetland, but so there's going to be we anticipate temporary impacts that will be restored following construction. Stormwater management, we're relying, the change in gravel to paved surfaces we anticipate very de minimis change in runoff patterns and volumes, relying on the vegetated shoulders to accommodate runoff, slow down the runoff, infiltrate runoff and such. I think that's it for the overall presentation. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to.
Is there any, thank you very much. Is there any, so those are the proponents. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor? Go ahead, Jim. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. I was looking over the pavement notes, and could you go over the composition of the pavement, please?
Sure.
It's going to be in 8.
Can you just speak right into the microphone?
Yes. It's going to be about a foot in total, about 8 inches of gravel borrow, and then 4 inches of pavement. It will be 2.5 inches of base course hot mix asphalt pavement and 1.5 inches of top course hot mix asphalt pavement.
There's another layer called an asphalt emulsion?
Yes, that is, if the two, I'll say the base course and top course aren't put down in a certain window, usually we add an emulsion on there to help with the top course adhering to the base course.
It's pretty much, it's like a glue, Joe, just in between the
Yeah.
two
And then
bases.
also in the parking areas, I noticed that there's also asphalt there, but not emulsion, it's pavement? Asphalt pavement?
Yes. It's a different, it's not gonna need that top course, we don't want it to break up on the trail. So the parking lot is a different composition of pavement and different type of pavement.
I'm wondering, should we be concerned at using a asphalt base in these kind of areas, in as much as the Conservation Commission has been trying not to have any new bituminous areas in any of the wetlands? Are you concerned with using the asphalt base at all?
No, we aren't. This is what we typically use on all of our trail projects. It's usually better for maintenance, better for accessibility.
Yeah, I can understand that, but
Okay.
it's not the maintenance aspect that we're looking at. We're looking at keeping the tars and other materials out of the watershed.
Okay. We can, I mean,
Because usually what we've been doing on new projects, not replacement, if it's a new project, we've been talking about paving stones and some other products that we use that are not bituminous based.
I would say we are trying to, another aspect of this project is trying to make a continuous feel along the entire corridor. Malden and Everett are already paved, as you know, and when the EOEA came in with this funding to create this trail network, they wanted to create a consistent feel along the entire stretch and get folks from the Mystic River all the way to the Lynn Shore. So the idea was to do a similar pavement type. We're trying to do a similar look and feel for all the signage, the amenities, but we've asked each community to pick what they would like to see. So that's all part of it. We wouldn't recommend doing pavers for a great distance along the corridor because that would.
Yes, I can understand that, but
Okay.
then again, I'm looking at it through a different set of eyes here. Had it been another area, maybe I wouldn't be that concerned.
I understand.
Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioners have any questions?
Is this something that MEPA is currently looking at?
Yes, the ENF was filed on the 28th, and then I believe the environmental monitor just came out today, so the comment period is going right now.
And that would include feedback on the bituminous materials that Joe's referring to?
Yes.
I just want to say, I looked through it, this looks like a really comprehensive plan, and it looks like everybody put their heads together on it, and I'm pretty impressed by it. I just have a question, is this going to be lit? Is the trail going to be lit for security at night? Or?
We are not proposing lighting the entire length of the trail. In Revere, under the Route 1 overpass, we are looking at doing some lighting under there to discourage anyone from hanging out there. So we have been working with the city to come up with a lighting scheme to install a few lights under there so it's not so dark in that area, since there's a known issue there at times.
All right, any other commissioners? Do I have any other proponents that want to speak in favor of this? All right, closing out that side of the hearing, any opponents that want to speak against this project? All right, what is the will of the commission? Joe, I know we're concerned about the asphalt. I'd like to see what MEPA has to say. You know, maybe we can issue an order of conditions, and if MEPA comes up with a different plan, we can always change it. You know, we can always come up with an amendment to the order of conditions. But every other city is basically doing the asphalt with the runoff. It's got a 2-inch shoulder on each side for the runoff of it. So do I have a motion to issue the order of conditions?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. All right, do I have a motion to close out the public hearing?
I'll make a motion for that.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, so we all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get it signed and I'll get it mailed out to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Oh.
Just gonna record Joe Laval as being against the project, voting against it with the asphalt. You guys, who do you want me to mail this to, the LEC?
Yeah,
Okay. All right,
Thank you all.
thank you. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for notice of intent, 46 Arcadia Street. Remodel of an existing two-family and adding an addition on, as well as a deck with a two-car garage under the house. Do I have any proponents here? For name and address for the record, please.
My name is John Andrews, 81 Burpee Road, Swampscott, Mass. I'm the architectural designer on the project.
Do I have a motion to open a public hearing for this?
I'll make a motion.
Ian makes a motion.
I'll second.
Who seconded it? John, go right ahead if you can tell us what we're doing.
So what we have an existing two-family home that was dilapidated.
Okay,
My client, Ms. Bennett here, purchased the property, and her first intent was to remodel it. Again, it was existing two-family, and what we did notice when we started looking at the existing plans that were issued to the building department, the lower portion of that at the garage level was where one of the units were at. So what we did was, we went to site plan review, and we revitalized the whole plan and just kept it within the same footprint. So now we have two-car parking at the lower level, and then we have the two units above that. Well, two cars per each unit.
2 cars per unit?
Yeah, there, so we, went to the ZBA, we satisfied what they were looking for, and then they brought us over to you folks. And so we also took a look at the floodplain zone there, and we had water passages in each part of the garage, 3 on each side. If we do get the approval, then we'll bring in a civil engineer who will engineer those before we go to the building department. But what I showed on the plan was where they could be architecturally. That's on the left and the right side.
Yeah,
So
usually,
the parking is side by
so
side.
those flood vents, it's usually 1 square inch for every square foot of.
Right, somewhere in there.
living
So I
space.
put in
Yeah.
3 feet wide by a foot, might satisfy it, but we'll have those stamped by a civil engineer
Yeah.
when we move forward.
Do we have any commissioners with any questions?
I do.
Heather, go ahead.
Hi. I looked over your plans, and on the NOI, it says on number 6, is any portion of the site subject to wetlands restriction order under the Inland Wetland Restriction Act, and you say yes. And you're supposed to provide a plan that identifies the location of the bordering vegetated wetland relative to the boundaries of the effective resource area. And I see a plot plan here, but it doesn't show any of the vegetated wetlands on it.
We could supply that. Yeah.
Any other questions, Heather?
So will that also show the measurements?
Yep.
Okay,
It will, yeah.
because I'd like to see, this has an addition on it, and I'd like to see how close it comes to the wetlands area and what type of wetlands area it is.
Okay.
Do you know offhand how close we are to the wetlands area from?
Not off here, not accurately anyways.
Okay.
Anticipating about 50 to 100 feet away.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any questions? Do I have any other proponents want to speak in favor? Closing on that side, any opponents that want to speak against this? I don't know, Heather, do you want to suggest to continue it until you see that map with the?
I think so. I'd feel better seeing the location of the wetlands and what they're consist of.
Yeah, I'd like to continue the public hearing till next month, and I want to see that, where the vegetation is, what it is, and
Sure.
what the actual map is of it, so we can all see it, and then we'll vote on it next
And-
month.
I'm sorry, one more thing. The drainage off the house, where that would land to,
So you mean if it
gutters,
would be like?
downspout?
Right, like downspouts, maybe French drain around, and then maybe if it goes into a dry well, you're looking for stuff like that?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
we could show that as well.
please. Yeah, if you could do that, that'll be great, and then, I know it Hate to postpone it, but I just want to make sure everything's all in order and keep all the residents and everybody happy in the area. All right, so we're going to continue it till next month, and we'll see you then. You don't need to refile anything, just get me all that stuff ahead of time if you can.
Yep.
So I can get it to the commissioners, and we'll go from there, and we'll see you guys next month.
All right.
All right, so it's the first Wednesday of the month,
Yes.
which is, I'll tell you right now. It'll be April 3rd at 7 PM in this room, okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is public meeting, RDA for Mass DCR, routine maintenance. I get anyone here from DCR? Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Andy Backman from DCR 251 Causeway Street in Boston. And also our district manager, Christina Doctoroff, is here with me tonight as
Hi,
well.
Christina.
You know her, yep. This is just almost an addendum to what you heard at your last meeting when Jorge Ayub, our coastal ecologist, and Tom Walsh, the regional director, came with the operations and maintenance plan for Revere Beach. And so I apologize that this is split into two parts. I think it really would have been cleaner to have just put it all together in the operations and maintenance plan, but we got this advice from the DEP Northeast region, and Rachel Freed, something raised a red flag with this particular item that's in the request for determination of applicability, that she said, you know, you're going to have to separate that out and do it, either put it in an RDA or a notice of intent. So we decided to put it in an RDA because it would be simpler. And it's really just, I think maybe it was the title that we gave it. It was maintenance of coastal structures, and that maybe just that title raised a red flag. But all we were talking about was during the winter when storms will take the sand, either the wind or the storm surge will bring the sand up against the beach wall, and before the plovers start nesting, we want the ability to just draw that sand back from the wall and bring it back onto the beach, and that's pretty much what all this was about. So it really would have made it easier if we could have just put it in the operations and maintenance plan.
Yeah, I understand where DEP is coming from. So basically, as you just explained, it is what it is. The winter storms bring the sand up against the wall. They want to have the capability to just pull it back. They're not disturbing not digging, they're just bringing the dirt back.
It sort of makes a ramp where it can blow over onto the parkway or onto the sidewalk, and that can be a problem. And also once the plovers start nesting, if you have that ramp, they'll go up and onto the sidewalk.
They take up enough space on the beach. We don't need no more.
Okay. You don't want them on the parkway and shutting down the parkway because of that. No, that's not a good. No.
Joe, you have a question?
As I look at Revere Beach, and I ride by it practically every day, I notice you're not going to have the opportunity to put that sand anywhere you want because there is the dune fencing in areas and there's planting in areas, dune planting. So your alternative might be you're going to have to take the sand maybe 100 yards down or 50 yards from where you pick it up off the street. You're not going to be able to put it right over on the other side of the wall in every space.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but this is not actually talking about bringing it back from the sidewalk or the street. I think that sand we'll have to do something else with because it could be contaminated. So this is more on the beach side of the wall, just drawing it back onto the beach.
Yeah, this is just the
from there.
sand that piles up against the inside of the beach wall, Joe.
Yeah, because I think once it goes over onto the parkway, then it's considered contaminated, and we can't. I think we probably wouldn't be able to bring it back on that sand back onto the beach.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions? Do I have a?
Yeah, I heard him say, I'd like you to repeat what you just said about the contamination. You wouldn't put it back because it could be contaminated. Would you please explain that part of your stories with the sand?
Yeah,
Once it's over the wall.
Once it's over the wall, I think, and it's on the parkway, then it could be contaminated with oils or gas or things that, basically the fluids that leak out of vehicles.
And then what? Then what would you do in that case?
I'm going to need Christina to help me out here.
Okay, if you can just come up to the podium, Christina, please.
Yes, we truck it away.
I'm sorry?
We truck it away, the sand that,
You check the composite of the sand itself once it goes over the wall?
once it's on, well, not over the wall, if it's on the sidewalk, I believe we're allowed to
Yeah,
put it
the
back on
sidewalk you are, yes.
Yeah, but if it goes onto the parkway because of the oils and things from vehicles.
If it goes that far, then it's serious.
Anything that hits the street or the parking space has got to be
And
hauled
then
away.
what?
So we gather it up and we put it on the truck and we haul it off.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the question what I wanted the answer to.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to issue a negative determination?
I'll make a motion.
Robert Cassidy made a motion. I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Deborah. All right, I'll get this signed and get you guys a copy. Who should I mail it to? Causeway Street? Address?
Yeah, I think you have my address on this.
Yeah, I
You
got it
can-
on the
Yeah, you
conference.
can
Yeah, I
send
got
it to me. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, yep.
Next is public hearing, Mass DEP file for 28 Loomis Street. Notice of intent, construction of a new duplex. Rick Salvo is here from Engineering Alliance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Rick Sal with Engineering Alliance, here this evening on behalf of BJM Realty Investments. You might recall we were here about a year or so ago, I think, to permit the extension of Loomis Street and the construction of 2 duplexes. And that approval was granted under DEP file number 061-0699. So the proposal now is they've actually got the 3rd lot down under agreement. This is the last lot on the street that can be developed. The next lot down from this lot is actually owned by the city of Revere, as is the land on the other side of Loomis Street. The wetland flags were delineated by Rimmer Environmental Consulting. They're shown as an A series of flags, A1 down here through A17. If you look up on the graphic here, the blue line indicates the limit of the 100-foot buffer zone. Those wetlands, so as you can see, we tried to set the proposed duplex outside of that limit. In addition to the bordering vegetating wetlands, this area is within the 100-year floodplain, which is known as land subject to coastal storm flowage under the Wetlands Protection Act, and that is elevation 9, NAVD 88. So the road construction, the road extension has already been completed under the prior DEP file number. The fire department just asked that we create a little 20-foot extension of that. As you can see, the road was permitted to sort of flare out, which created an emergency vehicle turnaround for the fire department. Where this is in the floodplain, this would be a flow-through foundation. We retain the existing grade underneath the foundation with a stone pad at or about elevation 4, which is the existing grade of the subject property. Top of foundation would be set at elevation 9.5, which is about 6 inches above the floodplain. By the time you put the framing and so forth above that, about elevation 12 would be the finished floor elevation of the dwelling. Just an open crawl space underneath and a garage space, which under the FEMA regs is not considered a lowest first floor and is allowed to flood. We'd also be extending the municipal sewer main, and we'd also be extending the municipal water main and relocating the new hydrant that got put on. So it's basically the same exact progression down the street as the other 2 that were already approved. This is a 3rd one and the final. So I guess with that, I turn it back to the commission for any questions or comments that you have.
I actually real quick need someone to open up, motion to open up the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Joe, seconded by
Ann,
Ann Raponi. Do we have any other proponents that want to speak in favor of this?
Hi. Just refresh my memory. Is this the other 2 lots? Is that where that swimming pool in ground? There was a swimming pool down there initially? Or some kind of construction when we went?
These two lots were vacant. There was never a pool.
Those are vacant.
Yeah, these were vacant. They were all vacant.
Do you remember, Nick, going down that area?
I didn't go to a site visit for it last year, but it was, I know it was vacant lots, the other two that he got approved.
And the other question, you refer to that blue line as being the,
The 100-foot buffer zone.
which side is the buffer zone?
Between here and here.
So then you made
This
your
way.
construction in as much as now the house is entirely in the buffer zone?
No, it's entirely outside. of
Outside the buffer zone.
Yes. So the buffers, the wetland line is right here, and the buffer zone is the 100 feet between the wetlands and the buffer zone.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Heather?
So you're showing improvements within the buffer zone, which includes that bituminous concrete driveway.
This piece right here, yes.
That
And, yeah, and the driveways, correct.
Okay,
And the municipal sidewalk as well.
okay. Just because we got this so late, I'd really like to take some time to review it. I wasn't here last year, I'm sorry,
No, that's fine.
but,
Okay.
and it's right there, it's right, the improvements go right through the buffer zone. So, yeah, if you could give me some time to look it over.
Yeah, and just for point of information, so there's a water quality swale that was constructed with a break in the curb in this area here to sort of mitigate the runoff that came off this road. It's all super elevated to one side, runs along the gutter. There's a 6-foot break in the gutter that leads to water quality swale that discharges back
Okay.
towards the resource area, just for point of information.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Do I have any opponents that want to speak against this? Even though it sounds like we're going to continue it till next month, Rick, but I want to let the proponents and everybody speak. Yeah. Anybody want to speak against it? Closing out that side of the hearing. So we're going to postpone it until next month just to give a determination until we read everything over a little bit more. And it was kind of a miscommunication between me and Rick with his submission that it came in so late, but we'll get it off to next month and take care of it then.
Yeah, if there's any comments, maybe we could relay them back.
Yeah.
Just if we could get a heads up would be
Yeah,
terrific.
I got Rick's email and cell phone, so if you have any questions, you can let me know and we'll get them to him.
Great.
All right, so we'll
Thank you
put this
very
off till next month. Thank you, Rick. That's it with business for Concom. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Toby Cassidy, a second? Seconded by Ann, okay.